So for the Dice Rally event, we do have our own category here, getting a win streak of 10, but a 74% overall win rate. Not bad for master level play, I guess you could say. Again, starting off, you go up against like platinum to master ranks, and then after you win a bit in a row, the game is like, okay, you can face master only opponents. So again, not a bad record for playing relatively high level opponents. But yeah, that is the Dice Rally. It's again, it's getting kind of stale, but it was a cool concept of an event, I guess. So the Dice Rally event has been quite an interesting adventure. I kind of burned out on it around May 19th. This match was on May 18th. We are going up against master ranked opponents, so this should be some pretty high level gameplay. Going second against Branded here using the PRIMITE Bestial FIENDSMITH control deck. The opponent starts off in the draw or standby phase using Branded in High Spirits. Probably trying to bait Ash Blossom, but we don't ash that. Pitching a Molcharmy Fuelos, which is a good discard when going first, to dump the Rinbrum. They're going to go ahead though and Fusion Deployment. I do ash the Fusion Deployment, but I get baited because they have the Blazing Cartasia anyway, so that's not great. The opponent's going to trigger the Albion here to dump a Fallen of Albaz, which was limited to 1 in the Dice Rally event, similar to my Primite Barrel. But they're going to chain the Cartasia to fuse most likely with the Albion, so this will result in the Albion going to grave while still getting the dump effect, but it won't put it back for the draw 1. But they don't care about the draw 1, obviously, because they have the Fallen of Albaz in grave. So they have 2 copies of Fallen of Albaz now, because Albion becomes Fallen of Albaz when it hits the graveyard. I chain Magnum to the summon, or not summon, but the activation of Cartasia, because I don't know if I'll need to use this Druid Swarm, but I don't want to summon the Magnum after this hits the field, since it can trigger to special summon, and we don't want to do that if we don't have to. We might be able to banish this with the Drill Beam that we should be able to search off of Ether, but we don't have a way to trigger the Drill Beam if we do search it. So a couple of issues there. They're going to Ash Blossom away my search of the Magnum during the end phase, so that's not great. But they only have 1 card left in hand, and I'm like, if your end port is simply just a Granugol there, like, I'm totally fine with that. But, you know, being a high level opponent, they know what they're doing. They're going to dump Albion off of the Granugol there, and then use Branded in White to banish one of their Albaz, or, you know, Albion in this case, and get the Granugol in the graveyard, so it's still triggerable from the grave if I special summon, in order to go into the Mirror Jade. I make a mistake here, you know, forgetting how to play against Branded. I opt to Druid Swarm in the main phase 1, so before the end phase happens, because they were going to go to end phase, to get this out of the graveyard so that they don't trigger it during end phase. And I'm thinking like, okay, I'll banish this here, then they'll have to use Mirror Jade now, which means they won't be able to banish during my turn, because I don't want them to banish my normal summon. That would be really bad for me. Like they'll use Mirror Jade now because they'll want to dump another Albion so that they can get the end phase effect. In hindsight, I should have banished the Granugol, because they probably still use the Mirror Jade to banish the Druid Swarm, because they don't want to risk me linking this off and sending the Mirror Jade here, and then playing around the banish effect during my turn, right? Because I can then link this off into like Heretic Seal. They can banish the Heretic Seal, sure, but then I protect my normal summon. This will prevent the Granugol from triggering, though, if I did opt to banish it with the Druid Swarm instead, and prevent the Quam, which ends up dumping the Mercurier, which is gonna be like wreaking havoc on me this duel. So yeah, they dump, and because they dump, they're gonna be able to, if a card leaves the extra deck, you can target one Fallen of Albaz or a card that mentioned it in the graveyard and special summon it. So they get a monster negate now on field. So trying to play around the Mirror Jade, you know, they did use it during their turn. I did lose my Albion, or my Bestial Druid Swarm as a result. They still get a monster negate interruption in the Mercurier, so like I screwed myself. So really bad play on my end there. I should have just banished the Granugol. So end phase, aka main phase 3 for Branded happens. They set Branded in red. They don't take back the High Spirits. I'm pretty sure they could have, but they do get the Blazing Cartasia back to hand. I go battle phase right away for Magnumit to beat over the Mercurier, and we did draw a Beast of Talwar, which is kind of an okay draw here, because it means that if we get the Drill Beam, like Summon Barrel, set Lordly Load activate, search Drill Beam, it will mean the Drill Beam is live. Then we can reset the Drill Beam with the Ether Barrel. So it's going to be a grind game between Drill Beam and Branded here. Now this was an unfortunate chain of events. Again, I have to get this monster negate off the field because I can't have them negate my Ether, and I can't have them negate if I didn't go for Ether. I went for Lacrima. I guess I summoned Lacrima, dump Engraver, but they can negate the summon off of Requiem, right? So Lacrima here, if they end up using this monster negate, would be the normal summon. but it's a hard thing to measure. So they're going to go ahead and brand it in red into Lubellion. No Bestial to interrupt the branded in red, so you can see heads up by the opponent by ashing the Magnamut there. And then they pitch the Cartesia to fuse with the Lubellion, and the reason they do this, because I'm like, oh, they go for Guardian Chimera here, right? Pitch 2, draw 2, pop my Magnamut, keep the Mercurier on field, but if they did the Guardian Chimera play, they would end up banishing their Quem or their Mirror Jade, which, you know, they could do, and then the 2 cards in their hand, and I guess they didn't want to banish their Cartesia or the Quem, so that's why they didn't go for Guardian Chimera. Plus this play, you're going to see they're going to put back 5 dragons, because they want to put all of their resources back into rotation, which makes sense, right? The Albaz is back in the deck for branded fusion plays, and they're going to be able to trigger Quem again and bring the Cartesia back to field to summon yet again during the main phase. So because I'm in the battle phase, Magnamut is going to be able to take out that Cartesia, which is really good. Now, you know, it worked out because they don't have their Mercurier on field. Their Mirror Jade already used their effect last turn. So now I can go for normal summon Barrel, set Lordly Load, activate Search for Drill Beam, activate Drill Beam to get rid of the Quem, because we don't want to get our board wiped by Mirror Jade. And yes, this unfortunately means the Mirror Jade will be live again next turn, but reset Drill Beam before we link off into Hieratic Seal, and activate Lordly Load to grab a Dustin to go into Fiendsmith Requiem. No real reason to do that, just put an extra body on board, we'll see what the opponent wants to do. I do play 2 Requiem, so, you know, losing this one wouldn't be the end of the world, and I do play 2 Lacrima as well, obviously one of them being in my hand here. So they draw for turn, they draw Albion, which is a pretty good draw because they can dump Branded Sword, which can banish now to get back the Mercurier, which is a monster negate, so now I have to trigger my Hieratic Seal, because if they get this back to hand, they can negate my Hieratic Seal bounce. I don't really care about them negating the Hieratic Seal summon, because I've already used my Magnamut, right? So that's the only thing I really want to summon from the deck off of the Hieratic Seal. I mean, a Druid's Rune would be nice, but it's fine. I use the Requiem there, summon Lacrima, it gets banished, sure, it's fine, I have another one in hand. But they're going to go ahead, get back the Mercurier, put back the Albion now, and then draw a card. Activate Hieratic Seal, they use their... not Lacrima. They use their Mercurier to negate it, so that's fine. I mean, what else are they going to negate? Nothing in this case, right? I don't have any hand trap. The draw, like these 2 draws are absolutely crazy, the sequence of events. So they get Albion to dump the sword to get back the Mercurier, use Mercurier to get, you know, again, free advantage, the monster negate. And then the draw of the Soronir here is just insane, because now they're going to be able to banish the Mercurier that they just got back off the Albion pitch of the sword to get another card to hand. The Soronir is an insane draw there, because now they have dump Retribution, dump Branded Fusion, whatever. They get a kit to hand as well, so the free advantage is crazy. In hindsight, I probably should have used the Drill Beam here to banish the Alba Leontis, because I guess, yeah, well, they already have this engraved off of the Mirror Jade, so they're gonna get another set. But I guess it's okay to take the damage, because I want to see what they set. They have no fusion in the grave for Branded Banishment to summon back, right? Because this wasn't summoned properly, so they can't summon this. And if I Drill Beam away the Leontis, then they can't summon this back either. So they're gonna go ahead, end phase now, grab back the High Spirits, grab back the Cartesia, and then trigger Albion to set a card into the back row. And this is a problem. They set the Brightest Blazing, and this card is a full field negate, so as long as they have an Albaz Fusion. So this triggers me now to say, okay, like, I'm gonna have to use Drill Beam to get your Albaz Fusion off the field, because I can't have you having this live, right? They couldn't summon the kit because, I mean, they don't even have an Albaz engraved, but they couldn't summon the kit because whatever they would search from the kit, they would just end up putting it back anyways. Oh no, they just need the fusion monster that has Fallen Lava. So they could have summoned the kit, but if they search Branded Fusion, they just put it back. So they have to keep it in hand, but that's fine. So we know we know everything that we're working with. There's no graveyard interruptions, so we just know Soronir, we know Branded and High Spirits, Blazing Cartesia, Kit, and the set Brightest Blazing. So no interruptions on the opponent's end, but we do have to deal with this Soronir, because this card dumping a branded spell or trap or a Lubellion is a problem. So we're going to go ahead, normal summon Ether, set another Lordly Load, and I do play 2 Drill Beam, and thank goodness I do because it comes in clutch here. Set the Drill Beam from grave, activate the Drill Beam that I just searched to get rid of the Soronir, so prevents it from going to grave and triggering. Link off into Striker Dragon because we drew Darkness Metal for turn, and this was the variation where I was playing like Max Metal Morph for the Omni Negate Red Eyes and 3 Black Metals. I've since changed that version because I went on a 3-loss streak with it, drawing Metal Morph I think all 3 games in a row that I lost, and then I switched to the Musket Fiendsmith version, which I'll go over in a bit. But yeah, the Darkness Metal here is crazy because we're going to be able to revive back the Magnamut, get the search during the end phase, summon the White Dustin with the Lordly Load, go into IP Masquerena, which is a dual purpose card for me. I can either go into Nightmare Unicorn Interruption since SP is banned for the event, or Underworld Goddess because I could summon Druisworm, use it as material for Druisworm 1, Darkness Metal 2, IP 3, 4, and then one of their monsters as the 5th summon, or 5th material I should say, for Underworld Goddess if I want to. They're going to normal summon Cartasia and then special summon Kit. This gives them a bit of isolation if I try to Drill Beam it, not that I would, right, because they could just chain Cartasia. So I let them search for the Branded Fusion because I'd much rather banish Branded Fusion with the Drill Beam. They put back a card, so probably putting back Branded and High Spirits, so I'm still dealing with an unknown as they did put back the Branded and High Spirits. I'm going to summon the Druisworm by banishing the Albion there and then trigger the Cartasia, or sorry, I triggered the IP Masquerena. They do not trigger their Cartasia, which is good for me, so I'm able to link it off. They probably were not expecting that. Go into an Underworld Goddess. Negating things here probably doesn't matter, although I guess you could say on the normal summon of Cartasia, I could have done the Bestial Druisworm summon, so that when I knew that they were going to summon the Kit, I could then chain the summon of the Underworld Goddess, which I believe would then, yeah, they would, if they summon the Kit, no, it would still trigger. I couldn't negate the Kit. Never mind. What am I saying? It doesn't matter. So it's fine. The Underworld Goddess negate doesn't matter. The Druisworm going to grave sends the Kit to grave. The opponent has no play because if they activate the Branded Fusion, they know I will chain the Drill Beam and negate it. We know the Brightest Blazing is offline, and the other card in their hand that they drew, it must not be a live card. Again, they've gone through a lot of resources here already, so it's not surprising that they don't have much left. We're going to go ahead, draw for turn. We draw in the Biru, get back the Ether, and the Primite engine looks like it's going to win out this game here. Don't need to summon Ether Barrel again. We're going to go into Lacrima summon, into Requiem, and then again, just don't play into the Biru or anything. Just go straight battle phase and attack for game. We did each start with 6 cards in this matchup, which, you know, as you saw in the beginning, was really beneficial to the opponent, using every single one of their cards. And for this event, I do think that the +1 is the worst because your opponent starting with 6 is really, really bad for you. As you can see there, they literally used every single card to get a very strong board, but we were able to break it, play through it. The Primite engine ended up coming out on top. In this one, let's go ahead and take a look at the deck list. So the Dice Rally event was a pretty cool concept in my opinion. We're almost done. You can see here round 7. It's getting kind of stale, so I mean, I'm so close I might as well just go for the round 8. But you can see that I'm on a square for a spell card that's useless. So because this is in my hand, and this is a good piece of advice for Dice Rally, you definitely want to be tailoring your deck slightly based on the space you're on. So like for example, I'm on a space where I have that useless spell in my hand, so I put in 2 Twin Twisters, going up to a 42 card main deck, because if I open Twin Twisters, whether I go first or second, I have a free pitch in that spell card that I'm not going to use for anything else. So why not play a powerful card that can help me break a board going second, or help me, you know, disrupt things when I go first. Set this card and still pitch the spell card in hand. If you're on, I was on a space where I had like a Link 3 monster. It was this guy here. So what I did was I went ahead and I put the Unchained Abomination into my deck because it's a free, you know, summon up to a Link 4 by using that card as material. Then I have an interruption during my opponent's turn for destroying cards potentially. So, you know, tailoring your deck slightly based on the space you're on can really help you win games. But this is the variation that we opted to use after going on a 3-loss streak with the Red Eyes version, and you know, it served me really well. I had like a 90% win rate for a long time with that deck, up to like, I think, you know, 30-40 matches, which is really, really good. But then, you know, the bricks of like the Max Metal Morph and the Red Eyes cards and stuff, I was just like, it's annoying. So this one's a bit better because it puts 4 more normal summons into the deck, even though you don't want to draw the Calamity here. But drawing the Musketeer Starfire is really good. And then, you know, going into the max puts the extra Fiends in graveyard. And what this allows you to do is, if you do go into the Fiendsmith plays, you can fusion for the Lacrima here by keeping the main deck Lacrima, the Crimson Tears, and the Requiem in your graveyard, because you can use the 2 Light Fiends in the max and the normal summon of the Musketeer Starfire, probably, as your materials for the Fiendsmith Lacrima, and that means that Lacrima the Crimson Tears can be used as an interruption during your opponent's turn. This is a stark contrast if you're not playing the Musketeer variant, because then you would have to use the Lacrima and the Requiem. You know, I should call this Crimson Tears because, you know, this Lacrima and this Lacrima are the same name, but you would have to use Crimson Tears, Lacrima, and Fiendsmith Requiem to go into Fiendsmith Lacrima if you weren't playing additional Light Fiends like the Musketeer package to go into the fusion play, right? So it would mean that you don't have this interruption during your opponent's turn to send the Fiendsmith in Paradise to get the Desiree interruption by, you know, this card being sent, and then having the materials in the graveyard to shuffle back what you want in order to trigger the Desiree send. Hopefully that makes sense, but these are the advanced little tactics that you want to use. These little intricacies, man, they play a big role. Like the extra interruption plays a huge deal, but the deck is the same as the previous one. It just took out all the Red Eyes cards and put in the Musketeer cards. So very effective deck, as you can see from our record. 75% win rate, very, very good.